the silent heights of Japan's mountain cliffs, there once lived a spirit of stone. A juniper so tenacious it carved life out of sheer rock. This was the Shimpaku, the true juniper, born of wind, forged by snow, buried in myth. Today, most of its wild brethren are lost. The few that remain are relics entrusted to masters, museums, and guardians of memory. In the late 19th and early 20th century, collectors scaled forbidding precipices in pursuit of perfect specimens. They called them yamadori, trees collected from the wild. But every rope pulled, every branch torn, cost a part of its soul. Overcollection, harsh terrain, and human greed ushered many Shimpaku into extinction. And yet, whispers of its form, its spirit, survived. In nursery archives, in bonsai journals, in the dreams of those who still believe. The Shimpaku is more than a bonsai subject. It stands at the intersection of geology, climate, culture, and loss. Its foliage, soft, scale-like, densely packed, speaks of adaptation. Its trunk, scarred with deadwood, sherry, jean, is a testament to struggle. In every surviving Shimpaku, we read not only a past, but a question. What does it mean to preserve something whose natural home is gone? The Shimpaku juniper, known botanically as Juniperus chinensis var. Sargentii, grows in some of the harshest terrains in Japan, rocky cliffs of Shikoku, Honshu, Kiso, and the coastal ranges of Etoigawa. Its roots cling to bare limestone, twisting between stone fractures, drinking mist instead of soil. The air here is cold, the ground unforgiving. Yet these trees endure, shaping themselves over centuries. Local monks once believed that Shimpaku grew only where the spirit of the mountain allowed, as if nature itself chose which trees may live. What makes the Shimpaku unique is its living sculpture. Its dense, compact foliage forms smooth clouds of green, while the trunk reveals ribbons of deadwood known as sherry and jean, scars carved by time, wind, and decay. Unlike other junipers, the Shimpaku's deadwood doesn't rot easily. It weathers into ivory white, polished by wind and salt air over decades. Botanists call this natural preservation, but bonsai masters call it kami no keiji, the mark of the divine. In the wild, few Shimpaku survive more than a few centuries. The most ancient, found in Kiso and Etoigawa, are estimated to be between 800 and 1,000 years old. Botanically, half of what we see as alive is already deadwood, yet the living veins still flow with sap, feeding tiny clusters of green. It is this paradox, life fed by death, that makes Shimpaku more than a tree. It becomes a living metaphor for endurance and humility. Every Shimpaku, in essence, is both a survivor and a ghost. In the late Meiji era, around the 1890s, Japan entered an age of rediscovery, of art, culture and nature. Bonsai became a symbol of refinement and intellect, displayed in imperial gardens and samurai estates. Among all species, one stood above the rest, the Shimpaku Juniper. Its twisting deadwood and soft foliage embodied the essence of wabi-sabi, beauty in imperfection. Collectors from Tokyo and Osaka paid fortunes for trees taken from the wild cliffs of Kiso and Itoigawa. The hunt for the perfect Shimpaku had begun. They were called Yamadori hunters, men who risked their lives scaling vertical cliffs with nothing but rope and will. Using chisels, hammers, and bamboo baskets, they extracted centuries-old junipers from cracks in stone. One wrong move meant death. Many never returned. Yet for each tree brought down, dealers paid small fortunes, some equal to a year's salary. The mountains of Kiso, Nagano, and Niigata echoed with picks and ropes, the sound of a beauty being taken from its home. By 1920, many Shimpaku populations were already gone. In 1950, the wild Shimpaku of Kiso was declared functionally extinct. What began as admiration became obsession. Nature's balance was broken by human desire for control and possession. Even as Japan modernized, the echoes of that loss remained. Old masters began to speak not of technique, but of respect. That true artistry was not in collecting, but in understanding. The Shimpaku became a mirror, reflecting both our love for nature and our tendency to destroy what we love most. In the quiet halls of the Omiya Bonsai Museum today, you can still see these relics, silent, sacred, and scarred by history. After the mountains fell silent, only a few Shimpaku remained, not in the wild, but in human care. These ancient trees found refuge in the gardens of masters, in temples, and later in museums. The Kato family of Omiya became one of the first to preserve them, passing each tree like a family heirloom. Some of these bonsai are over 800 years old, collected before Japan had electricity. Each one carries scars of cliffs long gone, stories carved into bark that no longer grows. In the hands of masters like Saburo Kato and Masahiko Kimura, the Shimpaku was reborn, not taken from nature, but taught through generations of care. Through grafting, cuttings, and propagation, they saved its genetic spirit from extinction. Kimura, the so-called magician of bonsai, transformed old junipers into living art, merging nature's wildness with human imagination. What was once lost in the mountains now lives through human patience and artistry. The Shimpaku today survives as a lineage, an unbroken thread of spirit, passed from tree to hand, from teacher to student. Its form has changed, but its essence endures. The old masters often said, "The mountain gave us the body, but time gave us the soul." In every living Shimpaku, there's a quiet echo of cliffs, wind, and snow, the memory of where it all began. The Shimpaku's twisted form is not random. It's a record of survival. Every curve tells a story of wind, hunger, and endurance. In bonsai, these scars are called sheri and jin, traces of death turned into beauty. The masters never hide them. They reveal them. Because in bonsai, imperfection is not something to fix, it is something to honor. The philosophy echoes the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi, the beauty of impermanence, imperfection, and the passage of time. To see a Shimpaku is to see the poetry of erosion, a reminder that everything living must one day weather, and yet still stand. When we look at a Shimpaku, we are not just looking at a tree, we are looking at ourselves. The way it bends, survives storms, loses branches but keeps growing, it mirrors the human spirit. Saburo Kato once said, "Bonsai is not the art of trees, it is the art of humanity through trees." Each branch pruned, each root exposed, each scar revealed, it teaches resilience, patience, and acceptance. Modern psychology now echoes similar truths. Growth does not happen in comfort, but in adaptation. A bonsai that has never faced the wind will never develop strength in its trunk. In the end, every Shimpaku stands between two worlds, life and death. Its deadwood is sculpted beside living veins, a delicate balance between decay and vitality. The masters call this the yin and yang of bonsai, the harmony between what was and what still is. Perhaps that's why people say old bonsai feel alive in a way ordinary trees do not, because they remind us that survival isn't about never breaking. It's about breaking beautifully. Today, the Shimpaku lives not only in gardens, but in memory, in art, and in spirit. It no longer needs to grow on cliffs or face storms to prove its strength. Its survival now depends on those who understand its story. In a way, every bonsai artist becomes a continuation of the mountain, shaping, protecting, remembering. Through their hands, the ancient rhythm of nature keeps breathing in miniature form. Across the world, from Kyoto to California, from Saitama to Europe, Shimpaku has become a cultural bridge. What began as Japan's mountain spirit now lives in thousands of hands across continents. In every exhibition, every photograph, and every student's first pruning, there's an echo of the old master's silence. The bonsai community doesn't just preserve trees. It preserves values, respect, patience, and humility before nature's power. The Shimpaku teaches one thing above all, that life is not measured by growth, but by endurance and meaning. As long as there are hands to tend them, hearts to understand them, and eyes to see their beauty, the spirit of the mountains will never die. It will keep whispering, quietly, through every living leaf. In the quiet end of this story, the Shimpaku stands, still, unbroken. It has outlived empires, wars, and the greed of men. What remains is not just wood and leaf, but spirit. The same spirit that once grew on forgotten cliffs, now lives in every artist who shapes it, and every soul who understands its silence. Perhaps that is what bonsai has always been. Not an art of control, but an act of listening. Here at Ethereal Bonsai, we don't talk about technique. We talk about the soul of the tree, and what it teaches us about being alive. If this journey moved you, stay with us. There are still lost trees to be found, and old spirits waiting to speak. Until next time, keep your hands gentle, your heart patient, and your spirit rooted.